planting the summer mix over here because the cool season on this, like I said, didn't do as good. I mean, it's up. It's probably some of it's 6 inches tall, but we're going to go ahead and plant that warm season into it, and then over on the other side of the hill, we're going to plant the warm season mix in it also. If you missed the video, I kind of went over it on the spring break video of what we were planting. This batch has got cowpeas, mung beans, a little bit of sunnia, some hybrid Sudan grass, brown top millet, pearl millet, raisin corn, black oilseed sunflowers, and a little bit of buckwheat. We're putting this down at a rate of 23 pounds an acre. So we're gonna do, we got enough to do 15 acres. So that'll get a little bit done over here, back over there, and then maybe have enough left to do that pen that the calves were grazing in that I did probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. They've about got all that grazed down in that smaller pen. Now we've got them on the other pasture down below it. So they've pretty well grazed all that cereal rye up. So hopefully we have enough left. We'll get it and get it planted in there. So go around and if you didn't watch the video on the spring break, if you want to check it out, you can. But if you missed it, that cool season that we planted during spring break was the woolly pod, vetch, red clover, collards, sunflowers, chicory, and plantain. So I'm going to walk you out through here and kind of show you how it's grown compared to the last video I did showing about how tall it was, so you can kind of see how much it's grown in the past couple weeks. So we'll walk out there and see how it's doing. Alright, so this is the cool season mix I was telling you about that we planted on spring break. As you can see, it's doing pretty well up here where I talked about, but down there where my dad's planting now, that warm season, it's just it didn't do as good as it did up here. Yeah, the ground was a little bit harder up here, I think, so it didn't get quite as deep. I mean, I don't know what the deal was, so it's kind of a trial and error type deal. So we're writing down, you know, what we did and how deep we planted it. That way we can compare and kind of get it where we need it to be to get the best results. But you know, this is a sunflower coming up here. I mean, it's probably 1.5 feet tall, maybe. This was some vetch coming up. These are those big collards here. Bunch of clover, that red clover growing here. The plantain. And one thing I didn't put on the list is we mixed some oats in with this. So these were some oats that were in here. But yeah, just walking out through here, we got quite a bit of diversity of growth out here, so that's good. This is the first cover crop ever on this pasture, so it's not as tall as I expected it to be, but I mean it did do better. I mean, some of these collards are pretty big, so they did pretty good. I mean, for the most part. We got some Bermuda grass coming in. These cowpeas, they did pretty good. Some of them are starting to flower. some more of that vetch. Yeah, I'm trying to find one. Yeah, I mean, the farther we walk this way, you can just see it didn't do as great as it did, you know, over in there, but it is what it is. We'll get some use out of it. I mean, the soil will benefit from it. So hopefully my dad will get all that planted this evening. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so get all that put in and get a good little rain on it. But anyway, this did pretty good. So there's just, I mean, it's sparse in some of these locations, but in other places it did pretty good. So one thing that we ran into that was a big problem was this fescue. Now I don't know how much of a information there is out there on this, but I couldn't find much. But we have a pretty good sized fescue patch right through here. We brush hogged it down. So, but the weird thing is nothing grew in this fescue. Now I talked to one of the green cover seed guys, and he said that this fescue puts off kind of a toxin, and it won't let stuff grow in it. So I mean, you're sitting here and you see all these, you know, cover crops, and then you walk, and then you see the rows, and then they hit the fescue, like right here. It should be row, 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 and then it hits this fescue, and then it's just nothing. So most of this whole pasture up here was fescue, but green cover recommended that since it's kind of a clumpy fescue, we're wanting to get rid of it so we can start building our soil health with these other plants and stuff, and get something growing in here besides fescue, because for us it's just not a good grass at all for what we're wanting to do. So with that being the case, they recommended that of course we spray it. We didn't want to spray it because we don't want to spray, which is what we're getting away from. We don't want to do that, but they said, you know, one time spray to kill it, and that should get rid of it, and we won't have to do it again. So with that being the case, we went ahead, got some Roundup, sprayed it. But this patch right here is where we ran out of spray, and it didn't get sprayed from about here over to there, and it was solid fescue. I went ahead and brush hogged it so it wouldn't, or my dad brush hogged it so it wouldn't reseed, because the stems on it were getting kind of tall, so we don't want it spreading. But it's just crazy how, you know, this stuff is growing good, and all of a sudden it hits the fescue and nothing. So I'm glad we went ahead and sprayed it just to get rid of it, get a choke on it, get it knocked out, so we can plant something else in here. We got Bermuda. We sprayed it pretty early, so I mean, it didn't affect the Bermuda. The Bermuda's growing up underneath, but we're gonna try to control this patch of fescue. We might end up and just spray this little strip just to get rid of it for good. Hopefully not have to deal with it anymore, not have to spray anymore, but it is what it is, and this is what we had to do to, you know, get rid of it. So the only real thing that grew up in it was, you know, you can see right here these little cowpeas, but just look how yellow they are. You know, this stuff just puts off, I don't know what it is, but you can't plant into it. And, you know, we had another guy that came out when green cover seed was out here and my dad talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he asked how our stuff was doing, and we told him, yeah, I mean, it's decent and doing pretty good. And he's like, well, I can't get mine to grow at all. And he asked him, you know, if he planted it in the fescue, and I guess he did plant it. And so I think there's a real issue out there with the fescue. So with that being said, hopefully we can get rid of this fescue and just stick with this, because those calves really love this, and they just do really well on it, and it's great for our soil. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the fescue, but I don't think it does worth a flip. So I mean, it's not good for horses. It's not good for mares to graze on when they're having colts. So we don't have any mares or anything anymore, so we don't have to worry about that. But it's just really a non-beneficial grass to us. So anyway, this is the update on the cover crops. I'll do another video a couple months or so when that summer mix starts to grow. I'm kind of anxious to see how it does. I think this cool season mix, I think it's about all it's going to do. I mean, I look for these oats probably to die out before long when it starts hitting 100 degrees. I mean, but the sunflowers, I'm sure they'll probably keep growing for a while. We might end up and bale this part up here for hay. I don't know, or what we're going to do. I don't know if we're going to graze it. I know we'll graze all that down there, and where I shot that last video at, if you watched it, the heifers grazing that. I mean, we're grazing that down there. So if you've seen that, that's what we're doing. So I don't know for sure what my dad has in mind to do with this part over here. We talked about maybe grazing that, or just letting it grow and do its thing. So anyway, I'll keep you updated, and be sure to check out my next video when I post it. Have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Be sure to hit that like button. Thanks for watching.